Know the Only Truth, excerpt from Know the Only Truth. Hello, seeker of truth. Before we embark on this journey, you have a choice to make. Imagine yourself holding two pills. In your left hand, the blue pill. Take it, and this video ends here. You return to your life, blissfully unaware, your mind untroubled by the complexities of reality. You will save yourself from the discomfort of knowledge and continue to live in a state of serene ignorance. But if you choose the red pill in your right hand, your journey begins now. This is where the illusion fades and the truth is revealed. You will awaken to the world as it truly is, beyond the fabricated reality you've known. As Morpheus once said, you take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. This is your moment. Will you choose to remain in comfort, or will you dare to see the world for what it is? The choice is yours. If you're ready to uncover the hidden truths and understand the matrix that surrounds us, take the red pill and let's begin. The church has been doing it since its beginnings, telling us that there are capital sins which lead you straight to hell. Our mind is unconsciously programmed to avoid pain. This leads us to move more out of fear than out of love. So if all we see outside are contagions and deaths, the seed of fear begins to increase until we reach a point where we do not doubt that all this is true. I'm not saying it's false either. People get infected and people also die, but they are still individual and whole beliefs, one with all and all with the whole. So you may be wondering, should I completely ignore what is going on in the world? Not necessarily. I believe that within this world there are several worlds. Your mind is one, for example, as well as that of your neighbor, your partner, or your parents. Each person inhabits his own reality, and it is from there that he creates and contributes to reality as a whole. That is why you do not need to ignore the rest. It is enough to become aware of yourself. How would you apply this to the pandemic and everything that happens? If we are told to wear a mask, wear it simply to follow the patterns, but not to believe that the mask is the solution. If they tell you that you have to get vaccinated to continue working or doing X thing, do it if you have no other choice, but knowing that the vaccine is not the solution either. Whoever knows the fear of people becomes the master of their souls. Anonymous, I could go on. But then, what is the solution? Knowing that there is no problem, that there are simply beliefs. If there is no problem, you don't need a solution. So without the need to solve something, you don't focus on the problem. You focus on continuing to live your life. Another way to look at the rules imposed on us is to do the opposite. If you are told to isolate yourself, not to hug, fist bump, or wash your hands at every moment, do the opposite. Bond, hug a lot, hold hands tightly and joyfully, and wash your hands if you want to. What do I mean? Do nothing out of fear. Do what you really want to do, but be aware of your emotion behind it. You can isolate yourself out of love too. You cannot hug because you simply don't feel like it, or fist bump because it is more fun for you. We can see everything in many ways, and none will be right or wrong except the one that resonates with you. With your essence, not with your fear of something happening to you. All of this now allows us to talk about the mental power we all have. The cure is closer than you think. At some point in your life, have you ever said something like, I'm going to take this because it's good for me, or I always feel better when I do such and such? That was nothing more than yourself conditioning your body to react in a certain way when performing a specific action, something like the placebo effect. Your words and thoughts about something conditioning the effect it may or may not produce. The placebo effect, although not much talked about, is one of those most incredible mysteries that concerns us all, because we all live it and use it without even knowing it. A great book that you can read and become much more informed on the subject is The Placebo is You by Dr. Joe Dispenza. To explain in a few words the placebo effect, we could say the following. If you go to the doctor's office and they tell you that X medication works for what is happening to you at that moment, you believe them. How could you doubt it? Well, what if the medicine, instead of containing chemical properties, was simply sugar wrapped in a pill? In other words, you are given the same medicine, but in reality, what it contains is something that you consume every day and you do not associate healing properties with it. Do you think it would produce the same effect as a real medicine? Well, it has been proven that it does. The simple fact that the patient believes that he is going to be cured by what he ingests, he is cured. This is because we gave an order to our mind and it is convinced that it will be so. There is no doubt that what the doctor is giving him is something that will do him good. And while this may seem like a deception from you to your mind, the opposite is actually true. A study was conducted where patients were told that they were going to take sugar pills, but that it would have the same positive effect on their health as taking the drug. And the results were positive. Patients improved even though they knew they were taking a placebo. There is a very famous story of Mr. Wright, who was diagnosed with cancer in 1957 and given only a few days to live. Hospitalized in Long Beach, California, with tumors the size of oranges, he learned that a horse serum, crebiosine, had been discovered that could be effective against cancer. His doctor, Philip West, agreed to administer it to him on a Friday afternoon. The following Monday, outside his deathbed, the patient joked with the nurses and days later found that the tumors had melted like snowballs. 2 months later, Wright read reports calling the serum a quack remedy. He suffered an immediate relapse. The doctor then told Wright, "Don't believe what you read in the papers," and injected him with water, telling him it was a doubly effective version of the drug. Once again, the tumor melted. Wright was the spitting image of health for 2 more months, until he read a definitive report that the crebiosine was useless. He died 2 days later. Although simple, this story simplifies what I mentioned earlier. Your mind has a very great power to both cure you and make you sick. In the above story, it is very clear how the placebo effect works, both for good and bad, both to heal and to cure. Now let's look at another experiment focused on the other side of the coin. Let's talk about the nocebo effect. Illness is an illusion. Similar, but in reverse. Rather, the nocebo effect describes our ability to believe that something will do us wrong, and that this becomes our own premonition. In 1960, a study looked at subjects with asthma. Researchers gave 40 asthmatic patients inhalers containing nothing but water vapor, but told them they contained allergens or irritants. 9 of them, 48%, experienced asthmatic symptoms, such as constriction of the airways, and 12, 30%, of the group suffered full-blown asthmatic attacks. The researchers later gave them inhalers, telling them that they contained a medicine that relieved their symptoms, and their airways reopened for all of them, even though the inhalers contained only water vapor. In both situations, that of provoking asthmatic symptoms and that of eliminating them, the patients responded to the suggestion as the researchers implanted the thought in their minds, obtaining exactly the expected effect. This begs the question, how suggestible are we? How much can we modify our state of being? What prophecies are we creating in our mind that can be fulfilled without us realizing it? I felt it was important to include this information because it is directly related to COVID and the vaccines that revolve around it. Of course, the vaccines will do you good if you believe so. And of course, you will have to give yourself more doses if you are told that one is not enough. It's not that what's out there is true or not, it's that it's up to you to decide if it is. And of course, the opposite is also possible, that you don't need any vaccine to avoid getting COVID. But if you choose to believe the story that you do need them, well, guess what? You will. The same thing happens every time you get a headache, fever, or sickness. If when something like that happens to you, the first thing you do is take a medication because it does you good, it will do you good. But always remember, it is because you believe it. You may also believe that you don't need any medicine, that the simple act of consciously breathing heals you, or that eating an apple does it. Whatever you do, the point is that you become aware that the external is the external. It is not you, but it directly influences you, because it is you who ultimately decides what effect it will have. Whether you are aware of this or not, it is what happens. Globally, if we all believe that there is a virus and it is ultra-contagious, We are only being accomplices of our own prophecy. Now, we cannot change the world reality, but we can change our personal reality, and from there, contribute to world change. If our mind is going to be conditioned, whether we want it to or not, let us at least use it to empower ourselves. Not to be accomplices of it, but the owners and creators. In this chapter, I am only reminding you with words and deeds something that you live and have lived, but that if you do not change, you will continue to live. To end this chapter, I want to show you 3 fascinating stories of the power of the human mind, just as a bonus for you to remember the mental power you have. Even if you are not those people, you are also those people. We've come to the end of this chapter, Seeker of Truth. Remember, I can only share so much with you, as the book itself is not mine. All credit goes to the true author, the real Morpheus, the one who will actually give you the red pill. Think of me in this video as Trinity. In the movie, it was an online encounter that connected Neo to his destiny. You've always been searching for the truth, always been chosen for this path. Believe that God gave you this dream for a reason. The book contains revelations far deeper than what we've discussed today. This video merely scratches the surface, covering information you likely already know and have heard countless times. The real truth is much darker, and just like in the movie, is hard to swallow. Neo's life, you could argue, only became more difficult after learning it. I will be revealing more on these topics in the coming days, slowly unveiling the truth. But not every topic can be shared. Now the real question is, you've made it this far in the video. Was this a test to see if you genuinely seek the truth about everything? The real red pill, the actual rabbit hole, opens once you get the book. You can order it online or find it in other ways. I will leave an affiliate link in my bio if you choose to use it. But I warn you, your life will change. It will, in a sense, wake you up.